Derek, how are you? And where are you? Are you in Arizona or Oklahoma or
No, I'm here in Perkins, America. So
okay, you're just down the
that's
road. Excellent.
right down the street.
How you doing?
Doing well, hanging in there like everybody else, hanging in there.
What has this done to your operations, your quarterback training? I know Sooner 7, we were going to go cover one of the big events you had planned. Some of the best kids in the region were coming into a tournament up in Broken Arrow, and we had that circled, and of course that was canceled. But what has this done? Are you doing some Zoom stuff with the kids you train? What are you doing?
Yeah, when it first kind of hit and everything started coming down from the municipalities and stuff, we I took a couple weeks off, 2 or 3 weeks, and I just I started back about probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. We started doing small groups again. It's one receiver, because they said you can't be in groups more than 10. So we'd have about 6 or 7 kids out there, obviously we'd, bring the hand sanitizer and keep the kids, basically as well as social distance as you can. And we just kept working. I mean, we took about 2 to 3 weeks off there because it was kind of uncertain and I didn't know, if it was going to spike here or what was going on. Kind of like everybody else, we didn't really have an idea. And so, it took a couple weeks off, then we got back to it. And as this stuff has gradually started loosening in Oklahoma, we've kind of gradually started going back. So,
Well, and when you talk about it, I'm going to guess when the kids get out there, they're pretty eager. I mean, I would imagine, when you've been, and I know most of them have trained. Maybe they have weights at home, whatever. I mean, I think most of them have stayed a little bit active, but I would still think they'd be chomping at the bit to get going.
oh, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, because I know the OSSA rules and stuff. So you can't use any, high school facilities. So we've been doing everything in parks and stuff like that. I was running probably started about 3 weeks ago. We started doing, I started doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday out here in Perkins, and I'd have kids driving from Coweta, Norman North, Southmore, Moore, kids coming from all over the state coming to Perkins, driving an hour and a half, and it's just these parents like, well, we're in the house all day, so getting in the car and driving an hour and 20 minutes sounds actually like exactly what we want to do tonight. So they were driving to Perkins. I wasn't even going into Tulsa. So, as everything kind of, they get a better understanding and certain precautions, then we're just going to kind of go from there and keep gradually opening up with everybody else.
To give folks an idea of what you're trying to do, because I think it's a little bit different than the average. Oh, I'm gonna go work on my release, work on my throw. Uh, Talk a little bit about how your system. And again, folks, he's a former indoor arena league quarterback, college quarterback. So I mean, Derek knows what knows what he's doing. He's been doing it a long time. Talk a little bit about how your program works.
So basically, like I said, I start, typically around the 5th or 6th grade. I think that's when you can really start to build. Those first couple years, it's a lot of, just biomechanic stuff that I try to, in that 6th, 7th grade window, proper arm swing, proper stuff like that. And then as they get older, I've kind of shifted what I do in the past year and a half. Just kind of the way the game's evolved. I've gotten away from rhythm and pocket, basically just they're out there playing catch. I do a lot of off-platform stuff because, if you watch a high school game, you watch college NFL, the game is moving to that where you have to throw the ball from different arm angles. You have to throw it from, different ways. And there's the quarterback of 2002 to 2005, the way you looked at quarterbacks when I was coming through college and the way that people had worked up until about probably 2010, 2011, it's changed. And now everything's on the run, everything's off platform, different arm angles, RPOs. So the game at quarterback has changed. So I've kind of, scaled down on all the rhythm and that kind of stuff, throwing on time, and just basically got it to more off schedule, off platform stuff.
And it struck me because I did radio for a lot of arena football with the Yard Dogs in Oklahoma City. I did their games either on TV or on radio for I want to say 5 or 6 years. So I saw a lot of arena football, saw a lot of good quarterbacks during that time playing at that in that league. I gotta think. I mean, a lot of what's going on in football now, not strictly the RPOs, but a lot of the physical characteristics that quarterbacks have to do now. Arena quarterbacks were always doing. You were
Right.
always moving, throwing on the run, different arm angles, different slots that you were letting, releasing the ball in. Uh, that would have been somewhat of a forerunner to what, say, a Patrick Mahomes is doing right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, because you got to think like the way the arena game was set up. You had all those different rules, and the jack linebacker couldn't go past five, so you'd have to throw sidearm hitches to the backside. You'd have to do a lot of different things. It's funny you said that because if you go back and you watch Craig Strickland's film, he was my coach
Oh
in
yeah,
Tulsa. He turned out to be a great friend of mine now. Still talk to him all the
I
time.
called a lot of
And
Craig's games.
yeah, and Craig, if you go back and you watch Strickland's film, and back when he was playing, he would have been perfect for the game today. He had a live arm. He could throw from different angles. He was athletic enough. I mean, you're right. It's kind of funny you said that. I never thought about that. But yeah, some of the arena stuff was a precursor for what we're seeing today.
Yeah, and to give folks a further background, Craig Strickland is the brother to Mike Gundy's wife, Kristen. Kristen is a Strickland, and her brothers were tremendous athletes, both in football, and then had another brother that was a tremendous baseball athlete and played in professional baseball. So, all right, so where are we now? Sooner seven, pretty much wiped out. Or are you gonna? You think you might be able to do some stuff this summer, or
Well,
where
Texas,
is that?
June 13th and 14th, there's a tournament in Round Rock, Texas.
Hmm.
There's also one in Dallas that same weekend. So, we're kind of looking at that. We've already sent out some feelers to parents, kind of like, hey, this is what's going on. We completely understand, and so we're trying to get a better bearing on our numbers. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a possibility. I really want to do it for the seniors. Give them one more because they're, we had a great season going. We had like I said, we had won a tournament, lost in the semis in another, made it to the quarterfinals in every one we've been to, including the 54 team down in Houston where Dion and all those guys were. So yeah, I want to do that for the seniors. And, like I said, we sent out feelers, actually, let's say Tuesday. So yeah, we sent out feelers this weekend, still waiting on to hear back from some people, but yeah, we'd like to get, going down to Round Rock. And, obviously it's going to be different than it ever has before, but as long as we follow precautions and do what, we're supposed to do, I think it'd be good for the kids.
Yeah, and this year, this group was a really good group. And I wanted to ask you. I mean, I know you don't see every one of the high school kids in the in the classes and so forth, but you obviously see a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of skill sets on defense, and when you look at it, the Oklahoman put out their Super 30 list last week, and a lot of these kids, because I cover recruiting, I study him. I mean, Kendall Daniels was their number one kid, DB at Beggs. I don't know if he does anything in your program, but Kendall's a tremendous athlete. You don't find too many 6'4" plus kids that have the hips and the athletic ability to play on the edge on the defense at corner, and he is by all athletic definition a corner that's 6'4". So he's kind of a freak.
Yeah, no, he came out and played last year in our tournament when we were at home. Um, when we played our very first tournament, we had at Titan last year. So he came out and played for us one tournament. I know he was big into he's a good basketball player, and so
Yeah.
we always do is we never. The last thing I ever want is for a kid to come out, tweak an ankle with us, and he's still in basketball season or he's been baseball season. And so that's why we try to tell the kids, like, hey, if you have anything, if a kid's in season, they don't play until they're out of season. And so I remember Kendall had just got done with basketball. So he had came over. That's one of the reasons Eli Williams never got a chance to play last year is because we cut the season kind of short last year. Well, he was still in basketball up until mid-March. But then I know what's his name, Tazon Taft, really good
Yeah.
athlete from Sepulpa. He came out and got one tournament in. But yeah, no, Kendall's a special kid. You don't, like you said, you don't find that frame. Him and Mukes, the kid from Choctaw, I think are kind of in the same boat. Mukes just came back out to play football, I think about a year ago, maybe 2 years
Yep.
ago. Extremely raw. I know he's
Committed to OU.
Committed to OU. But I mean, both those kids, if you watch their tape, it's just, I mean, those frames with those kind of athletic ability, I mean, those guys, their upside is exponential at the next level.
Yeah, Ethan Downs from Weatherford. Have you had him involved at all?
Yeah, actually, Ethan's first
Okay.
catch for Sooner 7 was a 40-yard touchdown last year. So
Okay.
we ran a little, put him on a little skinny post, and he caught it. And I'm pretty sure everybody that when he caught it was like, oh, this guy's kind of big, and then he outran everybody. So yeah, Ethan played for us last year. He had actually reached out right before the corona stuff happened, the coronavirus, and he was going to start coming to some tournaments with us just to kind of stay in shape, and compete. That's Ethan's a competitor. He just wants to compete all the time, and so we were looking forward to getting him back in the fold. As far as the top 30 go, I know Ty Williams. He came to 3 or 4 tournaments this year for us. Was a fantastic player.
Wow. And
yeah.
You've seen him. He's a rare bird in that quarterback, but he's got 14 picks over the last 2 years. And his sophomore year, I know Ray from the guys at Muskogee didn't want to put much on him, so they hardly played him on defense his first year as a starting quarterback. But in 10 defensive snaps, and I'd call Rafe to get confirmation on this because I didn't believe it. 10 defensive snaps his sophomore season, he had 5 picks. I mean, that's
the thing with 7-on-7. So we go to these tournaments and we're playing against, the Garrett Nussmeyers of the world, that kid from South Lake, Carroll. We're playing against Demetrius Davis. We played them down in Houston. We play against these top level kids, so interceptions are far and few between in 7-on-7 when you play solid opponents, because these are 4 or 5 star quarterbacks. They're not going to make many mistakes. And I think it was in our first 2 tournaments he went to this year. It was just mind boggling to me because I want to say he had to have had at least 10 or 11 passes defended and probably 3 or 4 picks. And 3 or 4 picks in one season in 7-on-7s, but he did that in his first 2 tournaments. And when you sit back and you watch him, he can diagnose. He sees combinations, like he sees it before it happens. So he sees this route coming with. He's like, okay, well then this route's this. He's a student of the game, man. And watching his knack he diagnoses so fast. It's really, really helpful for us in the back end.
Yeah, and I want to. I mean, we could go on and on, but I wanted to get into something because I did write a story on Sunday after I looked at the Oklahomans Super 30 list, and I thought Cameron Jordan and the other guys at the Oklahoma, I thought they did a good job. I did. I felt their list was pretty solid. And again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, you and I may go and watch a 7-on tournament, and you may come away with a list of 10 guys, and I may come away with the list of top 10 guys I think I saw, and there may not be 1 or 2, may not be any guys on both
Right.
our lists, because everybody sees things differently, and that's the beauty of recruiting. I've always said that beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But there was one glaring omission that I knew of from the list, and because I saw him play 2 or 3 times, I know he's been involved in your program. And I thought, well, maybe because not a lot of schools have hit on him because his dad's a college assistant coach. But McAdoo. I mean, Luke is he's again a special kid because he can play fullback. You can put him at the H. You can put him as an online tight end, and then on defense, you could back him as a linebacker. I mean, especially an inside guy, maybe, but off the edge, defensive end. He's a good run defender and a good pass rusher. And he wasn't even anywhere on their 30. And that's the one I had to write something about.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw Jason had shared that. That's the thing about Luke, though, is he's just going to use that as fuel. Luke's a versatile kid. He can do a lot of things, and he won't be outworked. So kids like Luke are going to get to the next level, and they're going to thrive because they know what it takes. He's been around it his entire life, so he understands the sacrifices that are coming. And I love Luke. He's the type of kid you want in your clubhouse. I mean, he's a great kid. And he's, like you said, versatile. He could put his hand in the dirt. He could play in the backfield. He could come off the edge. He could play inside. He can do a lot of different things. And then on top of that, being a coach's kid, he already understands what it's going to take. And I got no doubt in my mind Luke will use that to really catapult the final 3 months leading into his senior year, and work hard to leave no doubt for himself.
Yeah, and you're aware of a lot of these kids. Like you were one of the first guys that knew. I think about the kid at Mustang that's kind of a freaky athlete for a good sized kid. But we only had a couple of minutes here, so what I'm going to let you do is talk about the position that you probably know best, that you train the most. Who are some of the quarterbacks, and maybe not necessarily guys that are out there, catching, 3, 4 stars, whatever on the star list, but you work with some guys that are developing in the next couple of years. They're going to be, really good high school quarterbacks. Give us some of your pupil lists that you're really excited about right now.
Well,
I know you want to name
out
them
here,
all.
yeah. Well, I mean, out here, Austin Mages, the kid at Perkins, he had a fantastic year, almost 2,500
Yeah,
yards total offense. He's actually gotten a lot faster this offseason. And, he was a high 4.6 kid last year. So I'm kind of excited. I'm really excited to see what he does next year coming back for his senior year. Obviously, Mason Williams has put up phenomenal numbers, just waiting for a couple people to pull the trigger on him. I know he's, and we always
big
talk,
speak.
that's the same thing. Everybody talks about heart over height. I love Mason's game. He's
Yeah,
a
but
tenacious competitor.
Oklahoma just sent one to North Texas that's leaving there as one of their all timers,
Oh,
and
I know, but
yeah,
still, it's hard for these. It's hard, I get it. A lot of these guys have rubrics, and so hey, I got to be this height, this weight, and I get it. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. That's unfortunately the world we live in. But as far as guys I got coming up, the guy that's going to replace Mages the year after next, I'm really excited about. He's come a long way in a year. He'll be one of our top guys next year without even playing varsity at a 3A. I know it sounds crazy, but Gunnar Thrash, you want to talk about a live arm. This guy in the past year has just really elevated himself. He's about 6 foot, 190 pounds now, and he'll be backing up Mages there. Steele Wasel, the kid from
oh
Choctaw,
yeah,
he'll be
Choctaw.
starting for Choctaw this year. He's been coming up 3 days a week to Perkins, making an hour drive. He's been coming up for a month straight, and he can do things I've never seen a high school kid do since DJ from Bosco, DJ Uangale. I'm not saying he's that, but I'm saying some of the arm angles he can throw from, and it's effortless from Steele. The power is just unreal. Like
Huh.
he can literally put his feet down, and Steele can, without taking a step, and throw a ball 60 yards. And that's something you can't coach, especially he's put on 20 pounds this year. I mean, he's legitimately right now at 15 years old, he's 6'3.5", 6'4", 210 pounds. And he can move, and he's an athlete, and he's got a
And he's a
cannon.
sophomore in high school.
Yeah, and he's going to be
Wow.
special. Trimble, the kid out of Grove's been putting in a lot of work. I know Victory
Mm-hmm.
Christian. They've got two really good quarterbacks in Triton and Luke. Trying to think who else has been coming out. Denver Wilson and Cassidy, he's made a lot of improvement this summer. He's going to be a 2021 kid, really smart kid.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about him.
Huh?
I've heard a lot. I've heard some good things about Denver Wilson. So
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a solid. I mean, he's a solid 6'2". He's 195 pounds. Works his butt off. I know he goes to Night Sports Performance in Oklahoma City every morning. He's up there about 5 a.m. getting on the speed treadmill, doing his stuff. And then he'll drive up here and drive up to Perkins and get working at 6 o'clock at night. So he's got long days. Those kids like the grind like that. Those are the ones. I will tell you, I got one more. This is a name I think you're going to want to remember moving forward. Okay, he's a sixth grader, but his name's
okay,
Connor Quintero. He's out of Enid, Oklahoma.
okay.
He is the best 12-year-old I've ever seen. And that, I'm not saying here in Oklahoma, I'm saying he's the best 12-year-old I've ever seen.
Connor Quintero. I'll
Connor
write
Quintero.
that down.
He comes
right.
to the high school sessions, throws a high school ball. He had gone out to Clarkson's a couple times. I'd seen him at my buddy Greg Holcomb running the Next Level camp up in Chicago.
Right.
He works hard, and I mean he's for a kid that's in sixth grade, going to be in seventh. I mean it's kind of scary, as long as he progresses and keeps growing. I know his dad played in college. I know his mom and dad own a gym up in Enid, and as long as he keeps growing and progressing, he's going to be a extremely special kid.
Wow.
But then also too, the other kids, real quick, just to touch on the 2021 kids that I've talked about. Denver, obviously Ben Harris. Um,
Yes.
I don't really know what you do for an encore after three state titles and one loss and 40 games, but Ben came up last week. Looks good. He's gotten stronger. The thing with Ben is he's a baseball guy, so it looks a little different. But I mean, the ball just comes off his hand, and then a couple times last year too in the games, you saw the highlights. Ben's athletic. I mean, Ben runs a 4.640. Not a lot of people know that.
No,
I mean,
that he
he's
does.
6'2". He's 200 pounds. He runs a legitimate 4.6, and he's athletic. And he has he really can shoot the ball out. So
Well, hey, again, Derek, I appreciate your time. Let us know if if you need to come on, if you got an event, let us know for sure.